Good morning. I'm so thrilled that you've joined me today. We're going to talk about how we map out a hairstyle. And as you saw just at the beginning of this little presentation, I showed you a beautiful animation by Max Masano. And we're going to talk about how we think through the design of a haircut. So I'd love to hear from you in the chat room and just let me know how many of you, when you see a photograph, and the client is showing you a picture from Pinterest or wherever, and you look at it and go, how was that cut? Do any of you sometimes struggle to reverse engineer how it was designed? Let me just know in the chat how many of you, just thumbs up. Do you sometimes find it challenging to reverse engineer a hairstyle? Because I'm going to show you a photograph and we're going to talk about how to reverse engineer it so that when you get a client coming in asking for a hairstyle, you can respond. How about that? So just let me know in the chat if you are sometimes challenged with that. Hi, Max. Lovely to have you with us today. So yes, it can be a challenge. And I, with all my years of experience, still sometimes struggle with how am I going to map out this hairstyle and figure it out. So let's just dive straight into the technique now. And I'd like to just share my screen with you. And let's see, let's share my screen. I'm just going to share my presentation with you. So we're talking about how we map out a hairstyle. So the first thing I want to show you is this image here. So I did this yesterday for Revival. It was a 2-day show, and it was just a really great experience to be part of that show. So I did this haircut. So when you look at this and you look at the layers and the texture, it's a sort of a combination of a little bob with a lovely sort of soft effect, and there's some volume at the crown. So the first thing that I did was I created my outline shape first of all. So how many of you, if you were going to do this hairstyle, would do the outline shape first of all? Just give me a thumbs up. Yes, you would. Or would you start with your layers, the internal shape? Because where you begin on a haircut is so very important. So when I look at a photograph like this and I look at the length, I look at the shortest point, I look at the longest point. And when I'm looking at the layers, I'm looking to see, are they concave? Are they asymmetric, round, or square? Those are your basic choices that you have. So when we look at this hairstyle here and we look at the flow and the balance, much, much longer at the crown. The length of the layers is coming from the fringe, which is very important, into a very, very soft nape in the neck. So the perimeter length is going to dictate the internal length. That's very important. This haircut was razor cut because I needed wispy ends, I needed movement, and anytime you create volume at the crown, you have to be able to have the hair look good when it has the volume and when it also has collapsed. If you do this with scissors, you can easily get scissor marks of the top layer that appears when it is not voluminous, if that makes sense to you, because the volume disrupts the hair, expands the hair. So when the hair collapses, that means more hair is living in a more controlled area. So the razor and these soft edges gives you more opportunity to dress the hair in numerous ways. And that's an important part of this. So let's look at this haircut, and I'm going to walk you through how I created it. The red perimeter is my outline shape. Here we have our layers, and what's important about this is how they collapse. And I always, when I'm working on a hairstyle, I look at it in space, and then I look at how it will collapse. So when I'm thinking, right, I want this kind of roundness, I will take that hair up and go, okay, Viv, That's where it needs to live so that I'm not guessing and I get exactly what I want every single time. When I'm looking at my profile, I always map out the sectioning and map out where is that hair going to live, because it's as frustrating and disappointing to cut something too long and have to go back in and do a second haircut. And it's also heartbreaking to cut it too short and think, oh my gosh, now what the heck am I going to do? So here you'll see the sections and notice how this collapses and falls down, how we expand and how we collapse. And that's a very important part of this hairstyle. As hairdressers, we spend most of our time above the head, an aerial view looking down. But you can see this perspective and this cross check doesn't tell us how this hair is going to live in space. Living in space, we see by looking in the mirror. We can only see this by stepping back. I promise you, if you stand too close to your work and don't step back, you will miss this because your reality is this. You're close and you're above. And while this is important, it's not the big picture. So that is a very important part of this. So as we're looking at this hairstyle, we're going to just go backwards and look at how this lifts up, how it collapses, reverse engineering of the style to take us from here to here. So I hope you like this look. And what is another important thing about this? I'm going to ask you a question now. How did I create the volume? So I hope you saw that presentation. I hope you all saw it. Yes. Did you all see the slides? Just making sure. Cindy, did you see that? If you could just type a yes. I'm just waiting for a yes from somebody because there I am showing the slides. Oh, you did. Good. Sometimes what I see and what you see are really, really different. So yes, you did see those slides. So therefore, when your client is sitting there and you're thinking about the perspective, the balance, this is what's so very important, is mapping to the face shape. The hair, you have lots of choice. The face is the face. We can create the illusion of a face looking fuller. We can create the illusion of a face looking more youthful. We have so many things we can do to change face shape. I think one of the biggest challenges we have as hairdressers is that we get so sucked into the hair and we're looking at the hair and we come in close that we don't step back to look at the face shape. So the face should always be your source of inspiration of how can I make it more youthful. So many of you know my way of doing a consultation is very unique. I have a form that I use, which is marvelous when I'm meeting a total stranger, because we live in a world of automation. How about if you can automate your consultation? And how about if your consultation form did all the work for you and you just need to be the interpreter, the translator? How many of you, hands up, would love to not have to go over the same narrative over and over again because it's boring, repeating yourself over and over again? Hands up. How many of you relate to that? How about if the form did the work for you? So all of these years, well, I would say for 30 years, I was focused on hair technique and creativity. And then I realized, I don't know, the epiphany, one day I realized if I want to get a better buy-in and if I want to increase my creativity and have happier people, if I can do an extraordinary consultation that takes away the overwhelm, wouldn't that be amazing? Because many times, if your client's looking through a Google search for short haircuts, how many of you have done that? Thumbs up. How many of you have gone through Google and just gone pixie haircuts or short haircuts, and all range comes from really amazing to really scary? How many of you have done that? How many of you have gone through Pinterest trying to search for certain sort of styles, or Instagram? It takes time to curate and look. And how many of you look at so much that you are overwhelmed because your brain can't absorb any more? You're overwhelmed. Well, if your client is tenacious and they start looking for ideas, they will go into overwhelm. If you start to suggest more than 3 ideas, they will be overwhelmed. And when a client is overwhelmed, they do not buy. Guess what they do? They go back to the same as they've always had before. Our job is to be the expert, to have curated, to have gathered ideas, and to trust in the knowledge that we're always building upon. So we always have something that is valid for the person who's going to wear it. The only person who counts is the person that's sitting in your chair at that moment. That's the only person who counts. And meeting them where they live, understanding their personality, understanding their lifestyle, understanding their needs and wants, really understanding them, probably better than even their husband understands them. So if the consultation form does a deep dive into who they are and you become the interpreter and you can save time, does that sound like a good idea? I think so. So if you want more of this, I coach people all around this. In fact, we are this afternoon at 1:00 doing our next live with a program that I'm running right now called the Hair Designer Program. And I am taking people from 6-figure incomes to just joining the industry through a journey for the next year. And every week they show up, and every week I coach them. Every week I watch their work, give them feedback. If you want to be part of our next enrollment, it's in January. So please DM me, Viv Coach Me, and we will send you information. If you don't want to make that kind of commitment to be coached by me for a year, we have other options for you, which is Viv Unplugged. It's quick, it's easy, it's fun, and we get to talk to you every month. So if you're interested in Viv Unplugged, just simply go to vivianmckinder.com and you'll see Viv Unplugged and you can sign up there. So we have something for everybody to help them and guide them on their way. But the most important thing is what I'm talking about today is that what if I told you what you're doing now is wasting time? Can you get that time back? What if you said to me, well, Viv, I'm really interested in doing this, and time passes by. Or Viv, well, I'd like to do that, but the kids and the this and the that and so on and so forth. And, so busy. And time passes by. Can you get that time back? Time is the most precious commodity we have. And if you make a decision today to empower your career and empower your life and be supported by people who have been there, done it, and you want to be mentored and guided, we can accelerate your learn. We can get you where you are right now to where you want to go faster. But there's a caveat to that. If you're interested in this, what will happen is, well, I'm interested, and when it's convenient with me and all the stars are in alignment, I'll show up. If you're committed, then you're saying, wow, Viv, I'm committed. I want to take everything I do to the next level. And I want to do it with somebody. I don't want to do it by myself. I want support. I know I want support. And I know I've always had support in my career. I have support right till today. So if you're the kind of person that's committed, that means you'll show up regardless. You'll show up whether you feel like it or not. You show up because the why is so big that you just show up. So today on Instagram, I spoke about the mindset of how you map out a hairstyle and the mindset of a consultation. And today here, I have shown you through the animation, the mindset of looking at a photograph, reverse engineering it, and the why I do what I do. And that is the key to being successful. There is nothing more sad than when you cut someone's hair and it hasn't worked, because of lack of planning, lack of knowledge, not a good system, because systems are critical to get through anything we do in the salon. Systems, everything you do has to have a system, because that system is the structure that you can trust in. You need something to believe in. And so the system the way that I razor cut, the way that I break down a hairstyle. I keep it as simple as I can so that I can repeat it. And so that makes it a very good system. So that to me is part of the success. So let's just go now to some questions. Hi, Laurie. Thank you for joining us. And Joanna, thank you. And Stephen Chang. Oh, that is so lovely that you are with us today. Thank you so much. So do you relate to what I'm saying? And if this relates and you think, gosh, there's somebody else that I know, Viv, that would really appreciate this, please share what I am giving to you today, because it took me 40 plus years to know what I know. I've failed forward. I've had success. I've failed forward. I've had success. I've had problems. I've had victories. What I do know, I've learned more from my problems than I've ever learned from my victories. And when a problem shows up, my attitude today is, how am I going to fix this? What can I do differently next time? And if I don't have the answer, I reach out to somebody who does have the answer. And that way you become teachable. And I think the most successful people that I've ever worked with have humility, passion. They are curious. They are so curious. They're always looking for an opportunity. They seize the opportunities. And they're always looking to how can I learn more and reinvent myself? They all have that in common. So with that mindset, anything is possible for you, anything. But I think the most important thing I want you to do today, to take away from today, is the mindset of how you plan and choreograph what you're going to do. A little rehearsal in the front is amazing. Now, I was a professional dancer many, 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 many years ago. And before we would go on stage, we'd all be standing backstage and we'd all be going through each of the movements and thinking, yeah, we'd be going through all the little movements before we'd step out onto the stage. We would already have warmed up, but we would be marking our steps, telling the body again, this is what you're going to do. This is what you're going to do. This is what you're going to do. I've always taken that approach from dance of working on my choreography before I go onto a stage into hairdressing. I always map it out. I always think. And people always say to me when they watch me work, they notice how much I am thinking because I'm planning. I'm planning where this is going to go, right? Where this is going to go. This is going to be here. And sometimes it helps me to verbalize it. I'll say, the length is going to live here. This layer is going to live here. This is going to live here. That is going to live there. I am telling myself where everything is going to live. If I'm using a photograph as a reference, do you know how many times I look at that photograph? I look at it over and over and over again. I cut and I look, I cut and I look. It's because I've got to keep reminding myself this is where I'm going, because I can get lost in the detail, lost in my aerial view. You see very little in an aerial view. You see everything when you design into your mirror. So today, mindset, mapping, and just think about what I've said. Play this again a few times because I think that will be really helpful. And if you want me to help you, I'm here to help you. And remember, DM us at Vivian McKinder, and you will be able to then put in Viv Coach Me. Or you can simply just here in the chat, just say Viv Coach Me, and we'll be in touch with you. Take care. Thank you for being with me today. I hope you found this helpful. Again, share with your friends and look forward to seeing you next week. Take care. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. Bye for now.